Alright, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make carbonara. Now, carbonara has some main ingredients. First thing I'm going to talk about is noodles. I'm using macaroni, and this time is the first time I've used macaroni. I like to use Fusili or corkscrew or penne, any kind of noodle that's like a carrier noodle. This can carry any kind of sauce, can get in there. And a lot of people use spaghetti for carbonara. I'm not that big of a fan of spaghetti. You're welcome to use it if you want, but it doesn't hold the egg mixture very well. So basically, you got to pick a noodle that you like. I like the kind that carry. Alright, then you need eggs. I'm going to be using about 5 eggs. You want quite a few eggs depending on how many people you have. So I'm using about 22 ounces of pasta and 5 eggs. I just cracked one, but that's alright. I'll be making it right now. So then you have ham. Now, usually you use panchetta. I'm going to be using smoked ham. You can use bacon. Panchetta is kind of the cheek meat from a pig, and it's got to be smoked if you're using ham. This is smoked ham. Definitely want smoked ham if you're making carbonara, or bacon. Bacon's too greasy and fatty. It's actually more fatty and greasy than pancetta. Then you need an onion and garlic if you like garlic. Red pepper, and then salt and pepper, however much you like. You don't have to put this in, but I like it I like heat in my carbonara. Olive oil. Some people use butter, and also I don't like to use it, although it is pretty tasty. It's very heavy. You feel like you're going to have a heart attack. People use panna, which is the equivalent of heavy cream, or a bechamel, or some type of Alfredo sauce. I don't like going that crazy, but it is tasty, but I just don't want to give myself a heart attack. And then the last thing that you want, now this I'm showing you this is the rind of the cheese. This is Parmigiano Reggiano. This is real Parmesan from Parma, Italy. This makes all the difference. You can use Grana Padano, but do yourself a favor and don't use that gross Parmesan fake stuff that they spell Parmesan with an S. That says Parmesan. You want Parmesan with a G, Parmigiano Reggiano, and you'll really love it. It's definitely costs more, but it's a hard cheese, or semi-hard, so it lasts quite a while. You can buy it by the block. So let's get started. Now, the first thing you want to do is cut up your onion and get a pot of water boiling. And I like to salt the water so that it flavors the noodles. You can rough cut it, dice it, however you like it. Doesn't really matter. I don't mind big chunks of onion as long as they're caramelized, which is what we'll be doing. Okay, so next we're going to do ham. If you like a lot of ham, use a lot of ham. If you're not that hammy of a person, don't use that much. And this I like to cut into, it shrinks, it loses the moisture, which they pump a lot into this pre-packaged, so it does shrink a lot. So I don't cut these too small, but you don't want them too big either. And I find that adding these after the onions have browned or caramelized is the best time to add this, as well as garlic. Add this and garlic if you're going to add garlic at about the same time. Garlic burns, and then if this cooks too much, it loses a lot of flavor. Okay, so just crack some eggs. You definitely want enough egg. The egg and ham are the main ingredients to this. recipe. In fact, with as many ounces of pasta I'm doing, this might be kind of weak on the eggs, but I don't want to use all my eggs. Alright, so now we've got the eggs cracked, my hands are clean, so I can use the other ingredients. And so I'm going to go ahead and grate some of the Parmigiano. And you want a lot of this, and preferably you would want to use a microplaner. I don't have a microplaner, it broke. But what the microplane does is it kind of almost pulverizes the cheese, which gives everything a nice, good flavor. But, and you know, you can always add more Parmesan after, but you want to make sure you flavor these eggs that are more or less turned to kind of scrambled eggs. Like so. And then I don't add the red pepper to the egg mixture, but I do add just black pepper to the egg mixture. And using a shaker is probably the slow way to go. You just want a decent pinch. You almost want to be able to see the pepper when it's all mixed. But do it according to how much you want. Then obviously salt. This is a salt-heavy recipe. Okay, so we got salt. We'll be adding more later. You've salted the water that you're boiling your noodles in. And just whisk this mixture all up. Alright, so basically what you do is you let this sit till your noodles are cooked, and then you take your ham and egg and your ham and onions and all that stuff that's been cooking, and you dump that in the noodles that have been strained. Then you dump this in the hot noodles on the pot and stir it until these eggs cook. And it's quite amazing. So now let's get to the next step. Okay, so I'm going to show you a little trick. If you don't have a non-stick pan, and this one's starting to lose its non-stickiness, basically what you want to do is heat the pan to full heat with nothing on it, and then add cold, not refrigerated, but just not hot oil to it, and it will create its own non-stick surface. So any pan really can be a non-stick pan if you do it right. So we're going to let this heat up. Okay, now if you're wondering how much salt to add to your water for your noodles, I salt it enough to where if you took a spoonful and sipped it, it would almost taste good, or like a broth. Not over salty, but not so you can't taste anything. You want it so that it kind of tastes almost like a broth. Okay, we're going to be using some olive oil. Okay, so you can kind of see the way it reacts. If it suddenly goes thinner than when it normally is, when it's not on the pan, then you know that your pan is hot enough. If it seems to go suddenly really runny instead of a thick oil, like olive oil is at room temperature. So let's go ahead and take the onions. We'll saute those. You can turn the heat down as well. You don't want to burn them, but I raise the temperature of the pan just to get that non-stick coating. And I usually just eyeball everything. You know how much salt you like, you know how much onion you like, and you just go from there. Alright, so here you have the boiling water, and you just add your noodles. Once you add the noodles, you just want to give them a stir. You don't have to stir them constantly, but if you stir them somewhat immediately, you prevent noodles from sticking on the bottom of the pan. And that should be good. You might want to check it again just in a little bit. Okay, so the onions are done. Maybe a little too much. I stepped away I don't like them to get that brown, but they're still good. They're not burned. And since I'm using a small pan, I'm going to be taking these out and kind of caramelizing the edges of the ham, warming it up along with the red pepper. And if you were to add garlic, that would be the good time to add garlic. Garlic and red pepper burn faster than onions. So if you're going to do it all together, just time it till the end. Alright, so let's go ahead and put this in. Okay, now we're going to just add a little bit of olive oil. Because this isn't fatty. If this was bacon, I wouldn't be adding olive oil to it. And then also some red pepper. If you use this, don't touch your eyes. You'll be hating life. Wash your hands after you use it. If you're not used to using it anyway. Okay, so I've drained the noodles. And you just want to make sure you shake most of the water out. And then you get the egg mixture, like so. Pour it in. And you just want to stir it. Stir it for a while. After I've stirred it for quite some time, kind of mixing all the egg and the cheese, and this is over low heat as well, I'm going to go ahead and dump in the ham and eggs, and I also kind of scoop up all of it on the pan as well, just to collect some of that flavor off the pan. Mix it in. And then we'll add the onions. And I did too many noodles, I can tell already, but it's okay, it's still going to be good. You just add more Parmesan. So as you can see, it's starting to cook the eggs, and the eggs are starting to kind of take the small curd type of form. But what I like to do is, once I've kind of mixed it all and I can tell that the bottom isn't runny with egg, you're still going to have egg trapped inside of these noodles here and there. And I like to make sure it cooks all the way, and so I'll cover it with the lid and just on very low heat let it sit there for a little while. Or sometimes I won't even have the heat on at all if I've just only recently dumped the boiling water, because then I know that the noodles are hot enough. But you just want to make sure you cook the eggs. You don't want to eat raw eggs. So this is looking good. And so if you wanted, now would be the time you add your heavy cream. And it would make it very, very creamy, very rich. But it is already quite a heavy meal. Just eggs and ham alone. And just top it off with some Parmesan, grated Parmesan, salt and pepper to taste. And serve it up if you want. You could do like a side of peas or whatever. But other than that, it's good to go. Thanks for watching.